Aloha, everyone. Woohoo! Wow, somebody's joining us from Rio de Janeiro. That's very cool. I love doing these. I'm looking down because I have a laptop so I can see the chat and also have our questions up and running because there was a flurry of last minute questions this morning. I'm glad I keep checking the forum. It's been pretty great. So welcome to our ArtistWorks check-in. This is a Q&A that we actually started a while ago, a monthly check-in with our ArtistWorks students. And as time went on, we were like, they asked such great questions. It'd be nice to make this available to others so that they can see the kinds of questions that are asked and get to hear the answers and all that great stuff. So we prioritize the questions that our students at ArtistWorks ask in the forum. And then if there's time after, hopefully we can get to some questions that are out in the ether. So definitely, if you aren't signed in so you can join the chat, please do so. But it's great to see folks. I see people from all over the world. Daniela in Germany. I know you joined us. I loved your spooky setup you had yesterday for Ukulele Club as you were jamming along with us for our nonprofits monthly Ukulele Club of Hawaii. That was a ton of fun. You can watch the replay and relive the magic of Halloween music. Yeah, it was just a silly fun time. And we had a lot of great costumes. People dressed up. I was very proud of our club. So it was really, really nice. So today we are here and we have a guest. I'm so excited. He is a multiple Nahoku Hanohano Award winner now. And he is an amazing, fantastic teacher and performer. I think it's third generation teacher actually with his family, and originally from Maui, and is joining us here today. He lives on Oahu, Mr. Kala'e Camarillo. So yay!
How's it, guys? Excuse me. Mahalo, yes, for having me.
Yeah. No, we always, any chance we get to hang out with you, I'm always excited. So, oi, poor Craig. Still a little bit left. Oh my gosh. From when we were both super sick, but he's like much better.
No, but a huge thank you for Kalai joining us
Yes.
today. He's done so much in the past few years. And he's just so experienced and just a trooper. Like he can go from like gig to gig to gig and just still seems super fresh and like but he's always busy. You'll hear him. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna grab something right after this, but you can catch him all over playing around the island, and you're gonna always hear him on the radio. So
yes, I always get excited. I think it's 105 that I'm always like, hey, that's my friend. I know that song. Yeah, so it's pretty great. So should I jump into a couple of questions, Craig, to start us off?
And we're going to have Kala'a here helping answer some of these questions.
Yes.
And we have some dedicated questions for him, but I'll be right back, sir.
Yes. Okay, so this is a question that Ginger, I am so sorry you missed this question last month. So her question was, I was sitting in a uke class at my local music store, and the instructor indicated there was a difference between finger picking and playing tab. If that's true, can you explain the difference? So, reading tablature, you can do finger picking patterns reading tablature, or you can play chord. Like tablature is a way to show you how to read whatever the music is if you don't know how to read music, right? So I don't necessarily, you can use tablature for finger picking. So I don't necessarily agree with there's a difference between it. It's like tablature is a tool, finger picking is a technique, or finger style is a technique. So they're two different things.
You could use tab for chords too.
Right. Well, I already said that, right? But I was just like, you can't say that there's a difference between doing finger picking and playing tab, because tab is a tool that people can use to do finger picking. So that's my answer to that. I don't know if either of you have thoughts on that.
I could have said it better.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, tab is a tool. Finger picking is a technique. Nice. So next question. I prefer to keep my nails short. This is great for my fretting hand, but what about my strumming and picking hand? Are there techniques that work well with short nails? Should I try finger picks, or should I stop having shorter nails and grow nails. So,
Okay, I'll start with this one real quick
yeah.
then.
Craig has thoughts.
So for me, I definitely started with everything a little bit longer. For a lot of the fingerstyle stuff, it sounded really, really good, nice and crisp. And then like my quality of life got worse. Like normal day things, like you can't really play basketball, you can't go bowling. Like how you open doors is really different.
Opening
And
cans.
it's so as much as I loved it, I trimmed everything except for my thumb, and my thumb isn't even that. This is a little bit longer than normal, but let's see if I can. Oh no, I was gonna find my face. Anyways, but it's like just a tiny bit, and for the most part, it's really for like the fast picking this way that I really keep it for. But even without any nails, like if I broke my nail, I could still do everything I could do, maybe just not the up and down picking. But I actually end up liking now more of the flesh tone on these kind of techniques. It has a nice solid meaty sound compared to just the nails. So for my style, how that's changed, I actually enjoy having short nails besides the quality of life stuff. And just having the thumb a little bit longer for some of those techniques.
And somebody else to look at, just as far as nail stuff goes, super short nails, Kalega Meow. He does not have long nails.
Just a little bit. He likes
Super
having
short.
the flesh plus a little bit of nail
Yeah.
on his playing.
Yeah.
Kalai, what about you?
Yeah, what do
Yeah.
your
You know,
feelings?
Growing up, well, all the way until like the past couple of years, like I always played volleyball and basketball, so
Oh,
I got used to breaking nails all the time and playing with what I had. So right now, yeah, this is like shorter than I would want for my thumbnail.
yeah.
But yeah, like you, I really like the flesh sound right now.
Yeah.
But the main thing, I have one of either my pointer or middle finger, so I can do the fast picking. Actually, they're both kind of short right now. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So because I play guitar too, my nails, yeah, they're a lot weaker now and they go down fast. And I tend to break them all the time before like a big show.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So
That's-
I've experimented with like the Brian Tolentino finger picks.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't like the tone I get from it. I think
Super
It
different.
takes a lot of work.
Super different.
Yeah.
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 So in other words, we're just lazy.
No. So,
No,
I
you look at like Herb,
yeah.
where he uses the plastic thumb pick. And if you don't know what you're doing, it sounds so thin.
Yeah.
But the amount of hundreds and thousands of hours he put into it, he can make it sound like a nail. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, for me, when I first started, I actually had like really long nails and would pick with my nails, right? But it always had a little bit of a thin quality to it. And so, and I also wasn't always consistent. And then now with like, especially when Cameron was like still with bottles and everything, like, forget it. My nails were all messed up and would break and stuff because they were my hands were dry from washing bottles all the time. And so for me, I try to keep them, all of my nails, I try to keep with just like a hair sticking out past. I have long nail beds, so it looks like my nails are longer than they are. But if you actually look on this side, you can barely see the nail peeking over. And that's what I like, so that I get mostly flesh and then a little bit of nail clips at the end. But again, I'm similar to you, where it's like, if it breaks, it breaks, and I get what I get, and I gotta adjust a little bit. That's why sometimes you'll see me play, like I might pick with my middle more, because that nail is not broken, whereas or whatever it is. And also, I tend to also have some arthritic issues with my index finger, so sometimes you'll see me pick with these two fingers, or these two fingers, depending on how I'm feeling. But the nail isn't as, I try not to have too much nail. My thumb is short, it broke. But I try to have a longer thumbnail to get some of that. There's the tone I really like about the thumb. And there's a reason why you see people like Ota-san. I mean, Roy Sakuma's thumbnail is like, boom. And it's a strong nail, and has a really nice tone. So you hear that old style where you see them just using their thumb. And it's kind of like using your thumb as a plectrum. But it has a really nice tone. So those are our thoughts on the nails. Yeah.
All right, good question.
Yep.
Let's move on.
Next up, this one's kind of we can kind of put these together. Would you discuss vibrato techniques on the ukulele, and would you discuss bending notes on the ukulele? Vibrato, I like Neil is my go-to for like that question. Neil does he's and I feel like we've answered that question before with Neil, but I can't remember on what live
Or was
stream
it the
it was.
virtual retreat with Jake and Herb, I think? Because I think you talked about...
No, I'm talking about Neil though, because Neil wasn't here for that. The boys though,
No, I'm saying
Jake
did
did talk about that too.
So,
But-
I mean, so again, unlike a violin or cello, you know, that kind of stuff, we are limited in how much we can move up and down this way, right? Because of the frets. But you can still get a little bit of that, but then it hurts. So again, I mean, I'm lazy. So
And there's also the back
So
and
instead,
forth.
what I do is I'll move it side to side a little bit to get some of that vibrato, and then I'll try to not talk while I do this for a second, so you can kind of hear the difference. So this is just a straight hit. This is a little bit of nuance up and down,
Oh yeah.
a little bit, and this is side to side. So you're gonna find what kind of works for you, and a little bit goes a long way. You're not gonna need to do that kind of like whammy, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're really focusing on tone and this control, it is time to get an amp, just a practice amp. You can get some cheap ones nowadays, but you'll hear every tiny little thing that you do, including all the little bends that you do and how you hit the string with your thumb or index. But even if you don't play plugged in a lot, practicing with an amp and headphones is going to be so exponentially quicker to find those nuances and tone than just playing acoustically. Like it makes every mistake like really stand out in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you guys?
So I don't use a ton of vibrato in my playing, actually. It's funny because coming from violin, you think I would. But I don't use a ton of it. For bending, though, to get to the discuss bending notes on the ukulele, when you go to bend notes, you want to be deliberate, and you also want to figure out, like, for example, there was a song that we were working on in our virtual retreat with Jake, and I was actually helping tab it out because he had the music notation. So we were discussing and then discussing it. And there were a couple of bends, and he was very deliberate with I want it to be a half step bend. So you really need to be able to think about like how far are you bending the note, right? Because I can take this and just do a little bit, or I can go and really get it. So when you're bending notes, try to be deliberate and have a purpose for the bend. And that was me bending up. Now, obviously, bending down isn't as much of an option on my A string because I will come off of the fretboard. But if I was on the same fret on my E string, Sarah, I can go this way, I can go that way. But again, if I'm bending a note, I have a reason behind it. It's not just for funsies, right? So think about do you want to bend a half step? Do you want to bend a whole step? That kind of stuff. What about you? Do you have any thoughts?
I like bending notes on the second string. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, you really gotta use your ear and make sure you're not overshooting the notes. Yeah, especially in my solos. And I've been doing this thing where I bend the string before I even hit the note and bring it down. And you always want to make sure your ukulele can handle so much bending because now it's going to be really out of tune.
Oh, true,
So I try
right?
not to bend at the beginning of a song and
That's
be
right,
out
yeah.
of tune for the
Because
rest.
especially too, if you've changed your strings recently, then it's gonna be as soon as you're done with it.
Well,
yeah.
it depends on the tension of your strings too. Some
Right.
are gonna be much more easy to bend. And,
Yeah. But because bending is sometimes what I'll do. If we've changed strings, I'll totally just be bending strings to get them to loosen up.
Yeah, no,
Right?
that's what I do when I change strings. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So then you're
Bend all the way up the fretboard.
yeah, because that helps stretch them out. But then if you're at a gig, go out of tune. Not so fun. Nice. Okay, let's keep rolling. I've made a lot of progress relaxing and getting comfortable with bar chords, but those with the ring finger on the C or especially the G are still escaping me. Let's see. Reaching up with the ring finger lifts my index off of the E and the A string, and I start doing contortions like popping my wrist out and sticking my elbow out to make it work. I get tense and start to squeeze, oh no, like I did when I first started. Any advice would be really helpful for that. So, if I'm understanding the question correctly, when you are doing chords or whatever, when you go to add other fingers, either your index or your middle will start to lift up, right? So when you bar, you end up you naturally want to make a fist. We talk about that, I think, in your bar chord lesson, right, Craig? How your hand naturally will want to make a fist, and so you have to kind of train and work on it. I would say if you're having trouble, like with say this chord is a perfect example of a chord that a lot of people will say, oh, I'm having so much trouble. Or even if it's like this, where I'm holding what looks like an F chord underneath my bar like that, right? So you want to really make sure that when you're barring that you really are as flat as possible. And what I would do is make it like an exercise where if you can get this nice and clean, add this finger and try going across the strings with it, trying to get things as clear as you can, not necessarily this fast. And then notice that I'm pulling into my body. And then I would do the same thing with this finger going across. You're trying to sort of train your body and pull into your body. Because the thing that I find is that if I can do this and not have my thumb on the fretboard at all, while I'm going through this, eventually I'll be able to add my other two fingers, and then I can put my thumb in the back. I don't know. How do you feel, Craig? Do you have any feedback on bar chords?
Well, that's exactly what is in ArtistWorks, is that exercise.
Awesome. Okay.
So for the most part, again, it's all about leverage, right? So bar chords in general shouldn't be an issue once you spend some legitimate time on focusing on leveraging the different parts of your finger. So again, building up, my favorite exercise on this is just plucking the A string, starting the 5th fret. Touch 2 strings, just pluck the A string. Touch 3 strings, just pluck the A string. So you'll notice like I'm not even putting pressure on my tip. I'm just focusing on the A string. 4 strings, just putting pressure on the A string. Because then it's always easier to add pressure there when we need it, right? So again, it's just bringing that bar over one at a time, only plucking the A string and working on that chord. And like Sarah says, one of the big exercises we have at ArtistWorks is using your middle finger, start on the G, C, E, A, and you'll notice this rotates. And it's another big hint of, especially when we use a ring finger and come across, how much of that swivel happens. You don't have to be straight across that bar. You can angle, especially when you need more of a stretch. So you see how my index starts this way and then goes straighter and then goes this way. So it's all about context, but we're just trying to massage where we're actually putting most of that tension to get that A string and E string to really ring. But it's not as strength related as you think in that sense.
I think that's huge what you said about the angles, because I have so many students that try to keep it straight and
Yes.
they just get dead strings.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, let me try my middle finger instead. Oh, that works. And they're just building all these bad habits.
I know, because when you have a dead finger, then your index is gone. You get
Oh, so that's huge.
Awesome.
Nice. And then they also asked the question, what is autumn like in Hawaii?
What is autumn?
Fall. Craig.
No, we have rainy season and
Yeah.
summer. And that's really what we call it.
Yeah.
When I first moved to Oregon for college, and we went home for winter break for Christmas, and we got back in January, and January and February were colder than December, November.
Cool.
But in my head, I thought winter ended in December because that's here.
Yeah.
That's all. You know, it's just that's
Yeah.
it. And you start the new year, and everything. So I was not prepared for that. I was like, oh yeah, winter in Oregon, easy. And then get back in January. No, it sucks.
So for me, I think I notice a little bit of change in season in that in the fall, the nights get cooler. Like it might be hot as all get out. Like, oh, it's been so hot.
No, this
actually.
year's been weird.
But
Our AC's
the-
broken.
Right. But I've noticed that the nights actually cool off. And so at night I'm not sweating, but like by now actually it's like, oh, outside. Like it was 90 I think the other day, which was like a record high for Honolulu, and I was like, oh, this sucks. And we try not to run the AC if we can help it, but and not a ton of trades, so then you're just like, and then winter is definitely rainy, especially here in Manoa. Like it's just it's guaranteed gonna rain
It rains
every day.
like every day here. It's been like, oh yeah, 3% chance in Manoa. No, it's gonna rain.
But then like, and then Waikiki is like beautiful. Like
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh man.
Yeah, once you get out of the valley, it's
Yeah. Well, even taking Cameron to school down the street, it'll be dumping here, and I'm like, oh Cameron, we'll bring your umbrella, and then we get to school, sunny. I'm like, it's down the street, but it's this valley. It just holds in the clouds. Yeah, and then question for us is, do you ever miss fall or winter on the continent?
That's what Photoshop is for.
What's funny is when I moved to California, that's when I missed the seasons, because I went from North Carolina to California where it was brown, Southern California, excuse me, where it was brown, and I was like, this sucks. But I guess moving from California, from San Diego to here wasn't as big of a shock. I miss being cold sometimes, but then
Southern
yeah.
California rain hurts though.
Hurts?
Like when it dumps, it's like
Oh.
sore. It's like huge drops. It's like
Yeah.
compared to here where it's just, oh yeah, rain, it feels great. And then
Well, and also the
San
rain
Diego
is
rain is-
colder, I feel like, in Southern California. Here, it's like I can like be out in it and I'm walking around and it's fine. But Southern California, it's like, it's cold. Get me inside. How do you feel about the weather?
I've never experienced like a white Christmas or any of that yet. Yeah, so coldest I've been was Vegas, 40 degrees, and that was
That's
freezing.
chilly.
that's
Yeah.
cold.
That's
cold.
legitimately
that's
chilly.
cold.
Yeah.
White? Maybe we gotta find a gig for you so you can have a white
Yeah.
Christmas.
No, we should do a live stream concert of a bunch of Hawaii guys that never. Let's do like a
Go to Big
outdoor
Bear.
patio in the
Yeah.
snow concert.
Must be different playing in the
Oh.
cold.
Florida.
Yeah.
We got hit with the cold snap.
It was under 40 degrees. It was cold, like
And it was supposed to be like beautiful, but it was a random.
cold snap that came through Florida while we were on tour, and our gig was outside.
Yeah, man.
There was no space inside because though it was a bar, and they had a giant like backyard area, but the inside was teeny because you were supposed to go outside. So that one they had like gas heaters all around us. I'm in this giant coat that's our host's coat, and I'm trying to play guava jam.
Yeah,
and
you
it's
couldn't
like
feel
Yeah,
your
yeah.
feel. I had like the
couldn't-
fingerless gloves,
Yeah.
but it's,
yeah, you still can't
it's
feel your
rough.
fingers. Yeah, that was, and it was weird. We're like, we're in Florida. We shouldn't be freezing. And the people still came.
Yeah.
Everyone was bundled up.
It was really cute, actually.
Yeah, it felt like we were in this together. I guess the main thing is, I don't think we don't really miss the seasons the way that
It's
they
too
happen
far.
on the
It's too
continent.
far.
I used to when I lived in California, but now that I'm here, I don't miss it. I'm fine.
You can get the dry area. You go west and then
I
you
could
can-
go visit snow. I could visit snow on Big Island, right?
Yeah.
Just hop over there.
or the shave ice truck. I mean,
Shave
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Now, a question for you though. How is it any different season-wise? Is it any different from Oahu to Maui?
Well, at least where I live in Kihei, it's always dry and hot. Kind of like west side.
Okay.
So, yeah. Kihei, like, rarely ever rains. And when it does, it floods.
Oh no,
Yeah.
because the ground's so dry, it probably can't
Yeah.
suck up the rain.
Yeah.
Oy.
Yeah, that's like
For
San
me, it's
Diego.
always
Every
just
time it
been
rains in San Diego, they're like, "Oh yeah, the mall's flooded. The thousands of cars are now like,
Yeah.
Well, that's because that fashion valley mall's built on a dry lake. That's why. So when it rains, the lake's gonna fill up.
Yeah, it didn't rain much. I think I've seen it rain like 8 times in like 10 years there. But when it rained, it rained.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was a lot.
it was intense.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, if you want to create a Barry Manilow ending to a song, how do I select the key? Barry Manilow endings typically are a whole step up. So just go a whole step up. And it's abrupt. It's just like...
Oh, not even using the 5 of
Yeah,
them.
no, you just
jump.
move. You just go from 1 to 1 and done. And you move forward in the new key.
Yeah, because a lot of times in like Hawaiian music, you'll go to the 5 of the new key.
Yeah, usually.
And then jump in. So it's a little bit of a segue where that one's just like...
Oh, yeah, no,
boom.
it's just like,
Yeah.
I'm here,
Yeah.
and now I'm here.
But there's
Right.
power behind that
Right.
in comparison to the lead in, right? Because
Yeah.
it just has that jump and everything behind it. Much harder for a singer to just like kind of jump
Oh,
into
yeah.
it a lot
Do
of
it,
times.
yeah.
But it's so much stronger. The feeling is so much stronger.
Well, and part of that too is if you look at, so whenever you modulate, the how you would kind of choose to do it is usually you'll look and see what keys are similar to the original key you're in. So if you look at going from C to G, right, that's the 5th that Craig mentioned, that only has 1 sharp difference. So, right, it has the F sharp in the key of G. You could also move to F. That's a 4th away. That's another great movement. And that's, again, going from C to F. The F has 1 B flat in it. Everything else is the same. So those two are like super safe keys to switch to.
Or it doesn't sound as jarring when you do
Right,
switch,
and
yeah.
then and as a vocalist, it's more natural, right? So you can move a 4th, a 5th. Those are easy. So that's really the big thing is just looking at the relationship of your keys and kind of and going from there. But those are
Or
the
if you're
easy
like
ones.
Steven, you just keep going up. Keep going up. Keep going up. Like 5 keys.
Half step, whole step increments.
All the falsetto
Yes.
guys, that's how you build and
Yes. Funny. Nice. Did you have any thoughts on modulating that you wanted to share?
No, just in Hawaiian music, yeah, it's usually whole step.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually on the last verse.
Oh, yeah, true, yeah.
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 Hyena. But I mean it this time. So I'll go up a whole step.
How come no one goes down? Just
I did a couple times where I started on the wrong key. Gotta bring it down.
and that's happened before.
Yep. Nice. All right. And then this one is an interesting question. This is, I have a broader question regarding music you use for live streams and teaching. While I know that using copyrighted music for educational purposes in the classroom is hardly an issue, things can be very different online. How do you go about teaching, say, like a Beatles song online publicly versus playing it in your repertoire for a concert? I'm aware this question can open a can of worms, but can you just explain, like, how does that work? And I think, Craig, you had some thoughts on that. I'll have you start.
So yeah, for YouTube, they are much more lenient on using copyrighted material, but the main thing, the difference.
I'm the main one up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Technology.
That's all good.
YouTube will typically, because they run ads, anything copyrighted, typically they'll just, if you're not monetizing it, they'll monetize it and all that ad revenue goes to the copyright holder. If it's like a performance or teaching, a lot of times if you and you are monetizing it, they'll just split that monetizing with them, so they'll let it run. Depending on who the publisher is, sometimes they'll just take everything.
Sometimes they'll
and
be
that's
like,
fine.
take it down.
And sometimes, but that's rare on YouTube.
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram, I feel like they're very strict, but that's because they don't run ads. So they're like, well, if no one's gonna make money, if we're not making money, no one's gonna make money.
Yeah.
And they'll do strikes. They'll take things down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we use the YouTube platform a lot more. For ArtistWorks, they have to pay for
licensing. And they work with BMI, so we can only do songs that are in the BMI catalog. And that's a lot of songs.
Yeah, so we have a new list of songs that we're breaking down for the next batch of lessons.
Yeah.
Because there are a few songs that had to get taken down from our original curriculum because of that. So it's been, from that switch, it's been a little bit tricky on our side because we were sitting on some lessons that we eventually couldn't use. Yeah. So that's so now
that was
we,
such
now
a
we have
bummer.
it.
Yeah, but because they get watched. Like platforms that have a paywall like ArtistWorks get watched by those companies, and you put up something that's not supposed to be there. Like I think the two things that got flagged were we did Jason Mraz's "I'm Yours." Apparently, can't use that.
For the
And
pop progression thing,
yeah, so we have to redo the pop progression lesson.
Yeah.
And then the other one was my rhythm changes lesson because I sang "I've Got Rhythm."
So that's your fault.
Yep. Yes, Jason Mraz is you. I've Got Rhythm is me. But that one, and it's crazy because all I was doing was singing to show that you could sing that song. But that got flagged instantly. And so, not instantly, it was up for a while. And then they came by and were like, hey, what's this? So you do have to be careful if you're monetizing it and it's on like that kind of thing. Whereas, as Craig said, YouTube, it's a little bit different and things can slide because they're going to make money from it. Whereas ArtistWorks, unless they're paying the license for it, they're going to be like, shut this down. So it's a little hairy. What about, because you work in elementary schools, so how does
Well,
any
not
of that
elementary
ever?
anymore.
Oh, no, that's right, not anymore. You
Middle
used to do
school now, yeah.
elementary. Yes, that's right, middle school. But how does that kind of stuff work for you?
Well, all the videos I post usually they're private. Yeah, so
Smart.
I don't know.
Yeah, smart.
I mean, what videos? What?
Yeah, and all the sheet music. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not online. Like,
Yeah.
accessible. Not like I'm making money off of it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Educational purposes. All the stuff you're doing falls under
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've had like times on Facebook and Instagram Live, they mute the audio because I'm singing covers. Yeah.
Yeah, those two platforms. That's why we don't.
We don't use them.
Yeah. I forget what song of mine I was singing, but they muted the audio. They said, "Oh, you don't have the copyright to this." I wrote this song.
It's tricky even for us because our digital media is under the Orchid umbrella, and they'll flag us sometimes for our own songs and stuff because it's so hard to keep.
Yeah.
I get it. Like I get that they're trying to look out for their people, but they're also screwing over their own
Yes.
artists too.
And somebody asked in the chat about ASCAP. We're actually, I know Craig and I are members of ASCAP. It's free. It's free, but that's more for like performance stuff.
Yeah. I'm under ASCAP too.
Yeah. But excellent question. I love those kinds of questions. That's awesome.
Now I think it's time for a song break.
Song break.
Woohoo!
All right, let's give you some
Kala'e,
monetization.
Would you lead us in a song, please? And
actually,
let's do.
You wanna do-
Why don't we? Let's do that question first right now, and then we'll play it.
Okay. All right. Well, so let's do this. Let's do this one question. Hold on, let me put it on. Okay, Kala'e. This was specifically to you. I first saw you on the Ukulele Site podcast. Then I got to meet you when you were playing with Mika at the Kanikapila Grill.
Oh.
It's been such a treat to follow your musical career. One of my favorite songs of yours is Kolea. Can you tell us about the song?
So I was asked by my principal at my old school, Kapalam Elementary, to write a song about our school mascot, which is the kolea bird.
Ah.
Yeah, and I knew nothing about the kolea at the time, so I did some research, and I looked up the journey it takes to come to Hawaii every year. And they usually come here from Alaska, in search of warmer winters. Yeah, so they come here, and they eat, get fat, then fly back. And it's a 3,000 mile flight from Alaska to Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah, so the song, I'm just going to write something where they can learn about the journey, and I want it just to be fun where the kids can sing along. Yeah, so this is a song that all my students learned and the whole school knew, and it's just always a treat to sing it with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can we play it? Yay.
3,000 miles over the sea, 96 hours in the sky. The kolea bird is coming to the island in search of warmer winter in this place called paradise. Kolea, you are welcome
great song. And I loved hearing the history about it too. That's so cool. I hope they keep singing it. It's such a great tune.
Yeah, actually, they sent me a video the other week. They're still they're still singing it every day.
Yay!
Oh, that's
That little piece of your
awesome.
legacy
Yeah.
there. I love it. Ukulele. Oh, Thanks, Mitchell, for asking. Not Mitchell, sorry. David. Sorry, Mitchell, there's another question I know you have, but David, thanks for asking about that song. That's a great tune. Oh, I love
Yes,
it.
Mitchell, a lot of new songs and lessons are coming very, very soon. Now that we have the go-ahead to
Yes, we can.
record them here in the studio and send it over. So
Yes.
that will be our winter project, getting all those lessons recorded for you guys.
I finally have the handouts finished for some of the practical music theory lessons too. So we'll go into minor keys, reading and talking about lead sheets, also how to read music, basics of reading music so that you can look at stuff. So that's also coming down the pike. I finally finished those handouts so I can record, because I always like to have those handouts done so that I don't make mistakes. So I know exactly what's going to happen. So I'm excited. One of the great things with Cameron, going to school and stuff is that I get this, like, there's 2 times a week, I get this extra chunk where he goes to, we call it math class, but he goes and he's doing some extra learning activities, and those are 2-hour chunks that I get to, like, and I'm stuck at Kahala Mall, so I bring my laptop or iPad, and then I can work on that. That's when I dedicate, like, I'm going to work on ArtistWorks specifically. So, and then I can look up in the BMI catalog to figure out what songs are we allowed to do.
Nice, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Let's see here. So, let's see. I'm looking at the next question. Can you do a lesson addressing strumming fast? Yes. So, like in the jam she's citing in the jam that we did last time, yesterday, Jump in the Line and Devil in Disguise, I was doing a fast strum. And so she's like, how'd you do that? That's basically the question.
Okay, and I know Kalai has a lot to say on this too. So, if you're working on speed, there's 2 things to think about. One is, yes, the quickness of your strum, but the other thing is the shape of your strum. If you're gonna try to do this kind of strum super, super fast, after a
Good
minute,
luck.
I'd be dead.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So a lot of it, again, is this rotation. You see how my forearm is kind of on a spit, and it's just rotating. So I'm coming down with the nail, up with the flesh, down with the nail, up with the flesh. But you see how small this movement really is compared to this, or even this. This will hurt so bad.
Oh
in the
yeah,
morning
if you're only doing your
So
wrist.
a lot of it is focusing on that. So again, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. But you'll notice how I'm emphasizing that 1 and 3, 1 and 2, 3, or 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. But again, it's much smaller motion than you actually think. And fast, you always think, it has to be super, super, super big.
Yeah. And also think of it as the width of your fretboard. You're only strumming as wide as your fretboard, right? So that way you're as efficient as possible. You're not trying to strum. When you strum, you don't want it to end up down here, right? Like you want to be in this, this area. I also think of it as a shaka, like, right? Because that's the kind of, when you're like, hey, and that's kind of how one way I liken it now I'm not a very good fast strummer. I'm
Me
not,
too.
right? I'm like, I am not clean, like someone like Calais, who is like super clean and can strum super fast. That is not me. I can teach the technique so you can practice to be that way. But yeah, so I will disclaim that. It's because the songs that she's citing that I did, one of them was the Devil in Disguise. No, that minor. So, right, so you'll notice that I'm emphasizing certain beats and you want to be deliberate. There I was just playing a hot mess. But again, you'll want to think about, slow it down, and then slowly speed it up as you are practicing and trying to strum quickly, just like Craig was saying with practicing that. How do you feel about, I know you're similar to me, you're like, I don't strum fast.
Yeah. No, especially like when you start adding syncopation and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, I think same thing too. Like I had to learn as a teacher. I gotta, because I only have an hour with the kids. Like I always feel rushed, and then, like, at the beginning of this year, I realized I think I gotta teach slower. Yeah, because a lot of times they get discouraged because we're trying to go too fast. Where if you start slow and then you really got it down and then build up the speed, then a little more confident. Like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, 100%. That's I remember my violin teacher drilling into me, because the thing is, this goes for strumming or even just playing songs, right? There might be certain parts where it's easy, so then you can play that part fast, and then you slow down when you get to the hard part. And you want to make sure that you can play the entire song at one consistent tempo. So practicing the song, the fastest you can play the hardest part is another thing that like we kind of hammer in, because it's important, because then once you can do it well slowly, if you can then work to ramp it up and get there. Same with your strumming, but just the main thing is being relaxed and minimal movement as you can muster. Nice. Next. For the past couple of months, I've been struggling with tendonitis in my left hand. I've had to cut back on my practicing and use ice and rest. Going forward, are there things I can do to prevent this? Meanwhile, what kind of things can I practice that are gentle on the left hand?
Oh my gosh! So right off the bat, everything should be gentle on the left hand. And I'm not saying this as like
Will.
I injured myself when I first started playing. A lot of people in ArtistWorks know this, because I bring this up a lot, because I was over squeezing. I was always death gripping. And again, you watch the people on stage play, all your heroes, and they're flying across that fretboard, and it's so gentle, and because it is. I mean, yes, you have to put up a little bit of pressure, but nowhere near the amount of pressure as a lot of us think we have to do when we first start. A lot of times, like, we have to do this. The biggest thing I want you to remember is, let's take our ring finger, put on the E string 3rd fret, and when I say place, like literally just touch the string. And if it's play the E string with that there, it wouldn't sound like anything. It just sound thuddy. Now slowly apply, 5% pressure, 10% pressure, 15, 20 maybe, and you can already start to hear it ring. And this is a much different feel than going from 0 to 100% pressure, right? So whenever you're doing chords, remember that feeling of what 25, 30% feels like, and try to apply that to all your different fingers. And all of a sudden, you're gonna realize how gentle you can be and how quickly you can transition because of that. So that's my main thing is you're playing way harder than you need to. And even if you have issues with hands, this is gonna help with everything else that you're doing as well. Whether it's bar chords, again, not putting a ton of pressure, and you can still get a nice bar. You're not having to squeeze. So take the time. If you ever feel like you're hurting or needing to stop after just 10 minutes of playing, take the time to start from scratch. Go from 0 to 10%, 20%, 30%, and then try to play your whole song with just that amount of pressure. And I promise you're going to start getting used to only using that amount.
Also, you can take the time. This is your time to work on your right hand technique.
Or theory.
Because you could totally, just work on picking patterns that give you trouble. And you don't need to hold down anything for that. You can just go through and be like, okay, I'm going to work on... And you can just sit there. Just work this hand, get this hand. If you have trouble strumming and this is the perfect time to working on your strumming, right? And then of course theory. When you need to give your both hands a break, well, now it's time for the brain to do some stuff.
And when people say, "Oh, theory, what do you mean?" One of the easiest things that you can do to start working on theory is go through all your sheet music, make a copy, and then next to the chords that you have laid out, cross that off and write it in a different key. So if you're in C, all the C's and you want to go to, let's say, F. All the C's turn into F. All the F's turn into B flat, etc. And that's one of the things you can do, start transposing and start really thinking about the patterns that you're seeing in all of your music. Because, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to transpose necessarily at first. I meant to write a 1 near all the C's if you're playing a C.
Yeah.
A 4 next to all the F's, 5s with all the G or G7s.
Yeah.
Because you start to see those patterns. Oh, that's a 1 6 2 5 pattern I see in this song, or a 1 4 5.
Oh, I noticed the 5 always leads to 1.
Yeah.
Huh.
But again, these are great things that will help in so much of your playing.
Yep. And then you'll be able to sit and jam with somebody more easily, because if as you go through it, writing out the numbers and stuff, you'll I guess Craig says with the patterns, you'll be like, oh, and then you'll start to be able to hear it when your hand is feeling up for it, and you can just go through playing basic chords, and you'll kind of go, oh, interesting. And that's also when you'll say, oh, wait, this other song has those exact same things, and then all of a sudden you might discover that you can make a medley when your hand's feeling better.
Yeah, there's not that many chords in each key, so
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, pretty much. So yeah, that's the stuff that we recommend. Like when you've got to give one hand a rest, either work the other or work your brain for a little bit. Yeah.
Nikolai?
Yeah, I would say work the brain for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in Hawaii, like cutting kapila is such a big thing, and you may have learned a song in C, and then someone starts jamming it in F. Yeah, you want to be able to play along and just switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Or they modulate in the middle of the song, and you're like, oh crap, where am I gonna go?
a lot of times you can't see what chords they're playing.
Yeah.
You're sitting behind them, so you gotta use your ear. And
Yeah.
Yep.
that's like a skill I've been trying to drill into my students this year. Now they're older, and I know they can. It's the same age I started learning to do that.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Nice. All right.
Let's see. And then another question. Aloha, Craig and Sarah. Can you give us some examples of some qualities that help make someone a better player? Is it better to know all the notes and their names and chord shapes, but not know all their names, etc.? So, what are the qualities that you think make a good player?
A good ear. I mean,
Someone who can listen.
in so many regards, not just to what you're doing, but to other people are doing in that sense,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
you have to have a good ear. You have to have a good ear that leads to rhythm. You have to have a good ear that leads to understanding how the chords are going into what direction, and to give you ideas and guesses to where to go next if you don't know. Because what you're talking about, I feel like there's again, we always think of two columns. There's the physical part of being able to do something, and then there's the understanding and the intellectual part of why. So a lot of times I will focus on, oh, this lick is really bothering me, I want to get it down. So like, I'll really, raise my game in the technique side. But then like I want to know why, or I want to know how it applies to whatever I'm doing. So then I'll put in the work on understanding that side of it. And so kind of for me, it always went back and forth. It didn't really raise at the same time for me.
I feel like for me, if I'm playing with someone, I would rather play with someone that has a really good ear and no theoretical knowledge than someone who knows all this theory but doesn't have a good ear. Because if they don't have a good ear and they can't find the one, or beat one, or if they are playing and they're like, I don't want to say tone deaf, but they're not playing the right chords or whatever, that's way harder than somebody who he can't tell you what the name of the chord is, but he's playing it and it sounds great and they're fun to play with, right? Like that's my own personal. I would rather. I don't care if you can read music. Reading music and being able to know what's happening in a song and being nerdy about it is one thing. But if you can't do those things, that to me.
Well, one of my biggest moments in my ukulele journey was, instead of trying to get down 20 songs, it was like mastering one and then mastering the next one, while still kind of fooling around with the others. But I felt so spread thin that nothing was really memorized, and I could recite it by heart. But once I had the one, and then the next one, and then the next one, then my confidence built so much, and I felt like I could from that point, then I could always go back and pick it up really easily. but I was trying to focus on like a set too early rather than just like 2 or 3 songs, you know.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? What makes a good player?
I feel like you kind of described me.
Oh,
'Cause,
yeah.
but I know some theory.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's not like I took theory classes just from like realizing things over time. Like,
Yeah.
hey, G7 usually always goes back to C.
But you
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah, but like I know some guys that can shred,
Yeah.
and then they ask me, "Oh, what's the chords to You Don't Write?"
Yeah.
Like, and if I don't tell them, they can't follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only 3 chords.
Yes.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that's the difference because I there's a lot of old school musicians too that can play that one song that one way.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But
Yeah.
if you were to throw them in a situation, again, like they had to transpose into a different key, they would either have to put a capo, a couple,
Yeah.
and you know, and then same fingerings.
Yeah.
But that's where I want to. Once I realized I was like kind of leaning on that, where I couldn't do that one song that one way, I was like, oh, I gotta just sit down and spend time on being able to transpose, being able to understand what was going on, so I didn't feel like I was missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I learned fast too because I started playing with my dad in 7th grade.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
And then, like, the next week he played the same song in a different key. I'm like, I thought you played in this key, but I had to learn on the spot.
Right.
And really rely on the ear.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's, I mean, and I feel like that's actually a lot of how things are taught here. Generally, it's not written down, and you just, as Brian says, ready, aim, fire. You do it, and good luck. And if, by the last, you know, you got it.
Yeah, you make a mistake, you know not to play that note again.
Right. And so I feel like there's a lot musicianship. I feel like that's part of why there's so many great musicians here, because that's how it's taught here. And so people here, a lot of musicians here will have really good ears. And so
See, but when you combine the two,
Yeah, when you have
then you
both.
look at
That's-
Byron Yasui, you know, it's like,
like,
oh,
yeah.
well, Jake
man,
has
and-
both,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's like
So I mean, that's why it's not a must. It's not you have to, you know, that's nonsense. But it
Yeah.
will always benefit in that
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
yes. Well, I mean, yeah. I think we were talking with Neil about it, where it's like there's lots of composers out there who don't know how to read. Errol Garner, he wrote Misty, did not read music, but yet
Yep.
could do it. So, yeah. But yeah, that's our thoughts on what makes, I think of it as like what makes a good player is also what makes a good friend. Someone who's really good at listening.
Exactly.
Nice. And that is our last forum question. Are there
It
any
is.
quick questions that we can help answer in the live chat?
There was one question that I actually looked up. She was
Oh.
like, what's the history of the Shaka? So that I thought was
They
interesting.
just made a whole movie on it. I don't know if it came
Really?
out yet. but
What?
Yeah.
What do you know who is doing
Now,
it?
you have to remember too, there is different types of shaka.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
It's a
there's
hand
different
gesture that
angles,
has a
there's
lot of different
emotions that come from different ways of
Yeah.
doing it.
and
then-
also like how like you don't necessarily do this, right? Like it's like, hey. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like
You
it's
learn.
like you could do the chill old uncle. Hey uncle, like it's just a little.
Yeah. But and see that's like this way, right? Yeah, so real quick, according to Google, there's a couple of different things. One theory I like. One theory is they're suggesting the Spanish immigrants would do this and signal, do you want to go out for a drink? To the locals. This is Spanish immigrants. The other one is saying that apparently there is a popular theory that the Shaka came from a 60s car commercial, Lippy Espinita. And that's how he did Shaka Brada. And then
I mean, if you're on the news, you gotta do this.
Gotta-
You gotta go fast for some reason.
Yeah, for 10 seconds.
but in
It
2020,
feels like 80 seconds.
yes, but y'all, in 2024, Hawaii officially declared the Shaka as its state hand gesture. This year.
Their state hand gesture.
This is our state hand gesture.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah. And I know, so the bus here, okay? The bus here, if you like let the bus in your lane, it actually shakas at you.
There's an LED
there's an LED
screen, yeah.
screen on the back and it
Oh, I
will
never
shaka
seen
at
that
you. You gotta let the bus
I
in,
never let
that's
them
why.
in.
There is this brilliant Instagram.
Oh my
clip
God.
Of this guy. Oh, watch this. So my favorite part of the film. I'm gonna let him in. And then watch for the shaka. And then there's no shaka. He's like, oh, you da da da.
Yeah, he like
You shaka me.
expletives.
He's all,
Local expletives. I died laughing because I saw it for
Did
the
the
first
other hand signal.
Yes, right. I saw it for the first time because I let a bus in. I think it was on the freeway.
Yeah.
I let a bus in. I was like, oh, because it says mahalo and it's shakas, and I was like, oh, I gotta let the bus in my lane more often. This is great. So yeah, but anyway, you can look up more information about the Shaka, but it's our official hand gesture, y'all.
Oh, I'm glad the lightness of playing helps. Yeah, it really
Yeah.
take the time to figure out how much pressure you really need to play.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well,
Yay.
Well, one, thank you guys so much for joining us live on these check-ins.
Yeah.
Thank you to ArtistWorks students who asked these great questions in the forum, and thank you
Yeah.
guys for being here in the live chat. And Sam, thanks for helping out in the chat again. It's always great to see
You are
you.
always awesome.
Do you mind? Can we do one more song to end this
To
off?
end?
Take
Uh,
them to Kihei.
Yeah, where you
Let's do
live,
it.
your stomping grounds.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. As I gazed out to the sun beyond the shore, the memories of the days long before come crashing like the winds. It makes me miss those days, and now I wanna go back to my home in Okie. Sunday mornings, golden sand beneath my feet. Those playful waters always there to ease the heat. Hawaiian music fills the street as your fingers play the strings. Oh, how I miss those days with you in Okie. I wanna go back to the place on the south of the valley, where the people go from all around the globe to live a little island style. And as I seen my yesterday, I could hear her call my name. So now I'm on my way to my home in Okie. I wanna go back to the place on the south of the valley, where the people go from all around the globe to live a little island style. And as I seen my yesterdays, I could hear her call my name. So now I'm on my way to my home in Okie. And now I'm on my way to my home in Okie.
Yeah, nice. Thanks, Kalae.
Thank you guys so
Yes.
much for joining us live.
Yeah.
Kalae Camarillo, thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us.
Anytime.
Dude, see, there it was.
We'll see you again, hopefully before March, though. So he'll join us at the Ukulele Retreat Hawaii at the Kahala Resort in March. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Any big concerts coming up for the rest of the year?
If you're on the island this Saturday, I'll be
Ooh.
at the lounge at Island Sound Studio out in Hawaii Kai. Yeah, got tickets on my link at my Instagram.
Oh, very nice. All right, Kalae Camarillo.
And what is your
Find us
IG handle again?
It's K Kamar, KCAMAR.
Yeah.
Nice.
That is awesome. Yes, Rob, don't forget to ask questions in the forum for sure. So, excellent job, you guys. Thanks for all the great questions, students. You guys have just been fantastic. We are so lucky. You can always check out ArtistWorks, artistworks.com, or you can go through our website to at our lessons, and we have some free lessons up there for you. But Kala'e Kamarillo, we are so glad to have him joining us. It's an honor to call him a friend, and I think we're gonna eat now. Sorry, y'all, it's time for us to eat and hang out.
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha, everybody.